For folks that are new, my name is Paul. My wife Lily and I are the developers of the scalar wave laser. And tonight, in an introductory event, my goal is to kind of cover just a very basic overview of cold lasers, laser therapy, what they're all about, why people are using them. To give a little background, my background is in something called cranial sacral therapy. Are people familiar with cranial sacral therapy? Yeah, a little bit. Nowadays, I don't do clinical work at all. I primarily work with lasers, develop lasers in different technology, and we do a seminar process called Still Point. I want to kind of share one thing before we get started, which if you understand this one thing, it's going to help tremendously in terms of the bigger picture of how I use lasers, what I do with lasers, the approach that I take, and that's something we call Still Point in our seminars. So first thing, before we pass out lasers, everyone try something. Everyone go ahead, take a nice big breath in. And now relax and let go. Now take another nice big breath in. And now stop right at the top of the breath. And just kind of hold this place for a moment. Relax, don't hold the breath. Relax the breath. The breath will keep going like it does when you sleep. Yet stay in this space between the breath. In our seminars, we call this Still Point. In my life, I live most of my life here. I learned this in India from a yogi. This is technology, and I'm going to cover lasers, yet to me, the key technology that I work with, and the key technology that I'm really most fascinated with is the technology of perception. Which I don't know why, there doesn't seem to be a lot of people that interested in it here on planet Earth. But to me, this is the most powerful muscle on planet Earth by far. And it's also the most underflexed muscle on planet Earth. Most people are just thinking, judging, going through life, constantly running that same program. I tell people, this is exactly like a computer. Make no mistake about it, this is exactly like a computer. You know, whatever you turn on when you turn on your computer, whatever you have on your computer, you have Windows, you have Excel, you have Word, you have a bug, whatever you have on there, when you turn it on, guess what you get? Whatever you have that's on there. And I tell people, this is what the basis of our seminar. We're not going to get too into this tonight. I just want to start the evening off by covering this, because if you understand this one thing, then everything else I'm going to do is going to kind of line up around this one thing. Well, this is the same. When you wake up every day, whatever programs you run, whether you inherited them from someone, family, parents, whether you went out and got them or found them, whatever programs you run, you're going to get that every day. If you run thinking, you're going to get a lot of thinking. You run emotions, you're going to get a lot of emotions. You run body, concern about the body, issues with body, you're going to get that. You run criticism or judgment or frustration or inner critic not being good enough. All of those are the kinds of programs that everyone here is running in some way, shape, or form. And in my life, I like to delete those programs. How would it be if you had a computer and everything you opened, everything just kind of stayed open, if you didn't understand how to delete things and close things? You know, you'd have the thing for like 2 weeks and then the thing would stop working. Everyone take another big breath in and stop right here. Now right here, okay, don't hold the breath, relax, the breath will keep going. Yet if you stay right here, try something. Try to hold a thought or an emotion. Not so easy. This is what yogis do. This is the technology of yogis. It's not so complicated. Now try while you're resting here. While you're resting here, try holding an area of tension or pain in the body while you're resting here in neutrality. Not so easy. In other words, this space right here is a delete key. You rest here, it's like a magnet. You know, the magnet holds things. You flip the polarity neutral, all the metal filings drop. Your brain waves, if they're always going like this, thinking, you hold things. You go neutral. So what we're going to do, in my life, I spend a good portion of my life resting right here. A good day for me is when I'm resting here. You don't hold stuff. Everyone take one more breath. By the way, you can do it at the top of the breath. You can relax, breathe out. You can do it at the bottom of the breath. You can do it at any point in between the breath. Or you can do it like I do it. I do it so much that for me, it's more like I don't even use the breath. It's like an autofocus, you know. You'll notice I came in here. What happened? I turned this thing on. There's a problem, right? A lot of problems in life lately. Anybody notice? There's problems all day long. There's problems. What did I do? I slowed down. I don't know if anyone noticed. I took a breath. I said, okay, some problems I can't get wound. I can't get pulled into stuff. I tell you, the biggest problem that I see that people have here on planet Earth, and this is why I go around doing this, the biggest problem is people are horizontal to everything. It's called sympathy. Yogis call it sympathetic. When you're in your sympathetic part of your nervous system, you're in sympathy to everyone around you, everything going on. Someone's upset, you get upset. Something else happens. In my life, yogis are going parasympathetic. In my life, I look to be vertical to things. I don't want to be in sympathy to everything around here. There's too much going on here. How do I do that? Everyone take one more breath here. Stop right here. What you'll find throughout the course of the evening, every so often, I'm going to suggest, usually it's about every 15, 20 minutes, half hour, I'm going to say, everyone take a breath and drop in. If you come to our larger seminars, I do it. Basically, when I do that, that's about how often in my life I do it. In my life, I do it I go in a meeting, I leave the meeting, I drop in here. I don't want to bring all that stuff. And people get upset, then they come home and they land at home on their families. Clear that stuff. You can't hold it here. I have one more question for you. As you're resting here in this state, in this space, does it feel good? It feels good, doesn't it? I can tell it feels good. I didn't need to ask that, because what happens when people feel good? Their heads tilt a little bit. The eyes soften up. A little smile. Very slight. I tell you, there's a reason it feels good to rest here in still point. Okay, this is key. What they found with yogis live in this state. In India, they call it the breathless state. Yogis live in this state. The reason people feel good when they live in this state is that when you are here, your cells induce something called nitric oxide. The more you live here in this state, the more nitric oxide you have in your cells. And we'll know nitric oxide won the Nobel Prize a few years ago, the people researching it, because it vasodilates your entire system. It's a carrier for endorphins and opiates and serotonin. I was at the Anti-Aging Congress in Vegas a few months back. Now they're saying nitric oxide also, all the pharmaceuticals are into it. They want to stimulate nitric oxide because it's an inducer of stem cells in the body. In other words, nitric oxide's in the atmosphere. When you breathe all day, you're pulling oxygen. When you rest here, you're tuning to nitric oxide. Yogis have increased elevated nitric oxide levels in their cells, which is why in my life I like to live here a lot. By the way, nitric oxide is very similar to something called nitrous oxide. They give in the dental chairs, laughing gas. It makes you laugh. Same thing almost. That's why yogis are blissed out. I always tell people yogis aren't blissed. Bliss is not an emotion. It's a physiological response to nitric oxide. So we're going to cultivate that a bit tonight. Let's pass around some lasers. We're going to shift gears. The reason I start off covering that, if you understand that intro about, this muscle, to me, is what we're going to flex here tonight. We're going to use lasers and some other things. Yet, from my perspective, the thing that I develop technologies to do, everything I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share with you 3 or 4 different things tonight. The first one is still point. I already shared you the most powerful one. I'm going to share a few other things. They all have the same response. I made them all very specifically to induce, unwind, and bring me here. Because I really like to be here. If I'm in this state, life is really sweet. It's a lovely place here, planet Earth. Once the laser is on, I like to tell people to start to do it over the stomach is a great place to start. You can also do it over an area of tension or pain, face. You can do it over anything. Except don't. A woman in Wales a while ago, I said, put it over pain, and she started doing her husband. Don't do that. Okay, once the laser is on, basically, to give you just a very basic recap overview of what the laser does, lasers donate energy. Lasers donate photons. The basic principle of lasers, just to give you just a basic overview of what they do, the basic thing that lasers do is when you apply lasers over an area, a knee, an organ, back, a tooth, whatever the issue is, the key thing that the laser does is it donates photons. Donates photons. Why? What they found is that when you donate photons into the cell, that is the key thing. Every laser company that makes planets, on this planet that makes lasers will tell you the same thing. That lasers donate energy. Why? Because energy stimulates the cells to replicate and regenerate. Most professional sports teams have several lasers. I've sold lasers. This year we sold them to San Francisco 49ers. Sold lasers to Miami Heat, New York Giants. Many sports teams are using laser therapy. Our lasers use 3 different wavelengths. The first one we use is red. This is a red laser. And for me, I used red. I tell people red lasers, the benefit to red lasers are really good for surface tissue. Just for demonstration purposes, this really helps to kind of show how far red lasers, you can see how far red lasers go into the body. They go about that far into the body. So what is that light doing? When red lasers go in, it's stimulating blood, oxygen, electrons. Again, red lasers, the benefit, now a lot of laser companies, they only make red, or other companies only make infrared. And we're unique. Those companies all argue. The red ones say theirs are the best, the infrared say theirs are the best. My view is they're different. For me, if I want to work on anything that far into the body, skin, muscle, nerve, soft tissue, meridians, anything that far into the body, I use red lasers. Skin, facial rejuvenation. The approach that I take to lasers, I don't sit in laser for like 2 hours or 4 hours. I do 10, 15, 20 minutes in one setting, one session. Then I come back later in the day or the next day and I do it again. My goal is to rebuild the tissue, to relax, get the blood flowing, rebuild the tissue. Red lasers are phenomenal for surface tissue. Great for weight loss. We have a lot of people that do weight loss protocols. The tip of the nose is a thyroid point. So if you want to stabilize the thyroid. The second wavelength that I work with is infrared. Infrared, to me, is really unique because it works much deeper into the body. This is an infrared laser. Infrared, unlike red, you can't see. Infrareds are not visible to the human eye. I put some violet light around it so you can see that it's on and it softens it up. Infrared, some cameras will see infrared. In fact, the shows, the paranormal shows on TV, they use infrared cameras and they can see things that the human eye doesn't see. Infrared beam. The benefit of infrared is really good for deeper seated stuff. Anything like past this amount of the body, I use infrared. Let me kind of break this down so I'm really being clear about this. The reason I use lasers, my interest in lasers comes from one very simple thing. People genuinely believe that their bodies do not replicate and regenerate. From my perspective, that's completely inaccurate. From my perspective, the only thing, and hear me on this, because this is one of those things that what I talked about earlier about programs. A lot of people run the program that the body doesn't regenerate. They genuinely think their bodies don't regenerate. Well, I tell everyone in our seminars, you come to our larger 2, 3, 4-day seminars, I tell everyone, start deleting some programs. If you run that program, body doesn't regenerate, pull it up here and take a breath. Stop here. Delete it. It's not a right program. The only thing your bodies ever do is regenerate. Deepak Chopra got famous. He asked an important question. He said, we know through science your bodies are new every 7 or 8 years. Proven fact. So he comes along and says, smart guy comes along and says, if the body's new in 7 or 8 years, why would someone have an injury 10, 15, 20 years later? Doesn't add up. He and some other people came up with a new theory of cellular memory. Say you have a knee injury or a challenge. Well, the cells in that area hold on to the information from the injury. Could be emotion, could be an injury, could be some kind of... The new cells keep coming in, yet the old cell passes the information from old cell to new cell. So now the new cell in the shoulder or the knee acts and behaves like the old cell because it inherited the information of the injury. The reason I use lasers, every day for me, my view, I got challenges every day. Every day I jump in and say, okay, what am I going to dig on? What am I going to work on today? It's like a garden. This is like a garden. If you had a garden, would you sit by and just let the weeds grow and say, well, we'll see what grows, For me, I am not into random, if I have challenge, I don't want to sit around and just say, well, we'll see what happens to it. I want to dig in and see what can I do to change the physics of the situation. Raise your hand again if you have one of our lasers. Anyone in the room? Who has one? Great. Okay, great. Raise your hand if you use it often. Raise your hand if you use it for like every situation that comes up that you have a health challenge with. Raise your hand if it usually helps. Okay, good. Raise your hand if you keep it near in your bed. I tell you, any group I do groups with 10 people, 25 people, 100, 200 people. And there's, depending on the group, there's usually 20, 30, 40%, 50% of the group has lasers already. If I ask those questions, 99 to 100% people raise their hand on every single one of those questions. You know, get clear in your perception about what you do here. Because the only thing you do, not you, your personality, the only thing you do biologically is to replicate cells constantly. That's it. If any part of you stops doing that, you are done here. I like to rest right here. Everyone take another breath. Stop here. When you're here, you're not thinking. And what did we find out earlier? It's hard to hold stuff. Yogis call it karma. They say when you hold stuff, all karma is stuff you hold on to. Anything you hold, physical, emotional, cell memory, emotion, belief, judgment, anything you hold on to, guess what? The universe brings it to you again. It's like a computer. Anything you got on the computer, you turn it on, you get that again. You rest here, guess what you don't do? You don't hold things. By the way, take note of this. We as a group, are all resting here. We started off, it wasn't that way. I said, everyone take a breath, drop in. Now we're collectively resting here in this state. That is not what most people do out there. You know, people come to our seminars and often I can see they're like, that's nothing, it's just being quiet or being. This is the most powerful thing I've come across on this planet. When you rest here, your cells increase nitric oxide levels. Nitric oxide is like a super compound that totally is all about anti-aging, longevity, and transpersonal experiences. By the way, there's one more thing that activates nitric oxide levels, which is why I use them a lot. Guess what they are? Lasers. Lasers have been found in numerous studies to increase nitric oxide. In fact, from my perspective, no one talks about this, but from my perspective, the reason that lasers are so good for pain is it's proven that when you use lasers over different areas, it increases nitric oxide levels in the cell, which it opens up endorphins and serotonin and all sorts of really good things. The third laser that you'll find, when I find something good in my life that's like, I like this, I then research and I figure out, okay, what else can I do to have more of this in my life? So when I discovered nitric oxide years ago, I was like, cool, this is cool. This is the key to, a lot of people talk about like being in the now, and just rest in the presence and be in the present moment and all these words. And it's great. I love all that stuff. It's great. But it's kind of a little bit still theoretical. It's like, well, what does that mean? How do you actually get there? What I'm telling you in my life, you want to rest in the present in every moment and be totally in a nice state. Just take a breath, stop right here, and hold it. Don't hold the breath. The breath will keep going, but hold in that state. If you can delete stuff on your computer, which everyone here can, program you don't like, you remove it. You delete something, you can delete stuff. If you can delete stuff on your computer, you can delete cell memory, emotions, and beliefs. Easy. How? Right here. Third wavelength that I use in our lasers. I covered so far red, infrared, and violet. The violet's the third wavelength that we use in our lasers. Most companies do not use violet lasers. I'm really into violet lasers because violet lasers, from my perspective, are really good for anti-aging, for longevity. They're particularly good for emotional situations. Anyone with emotional stress, any other stress, it's really good for energy work and balancing out the energy in the field. It's very, very popular. People in our network that have this typically really use it a lot and like it a lot. Most companies don't make violet lasers. Our lasers are a little bit unique in that we use violet. Other companies don't use them because they're a lot more expensive. Violet lasers are a lot more expensive, hence companies don't use them. The only other company that makes a violet laser is $18,000, and theirs is less powerful than ours. Ours is a 100 milliwatt laser. That company makes a 20 milliwatt violet laser for $18,000. The reason Kairos and a lot of people are using violet lasers is because they're profoundly good for dealing with emotional stress. A lot of people have a lot of emotions. Kairos find that a lot of people, anyone ever go to the Chiro and he muscle tests you, he or she muscle tests you, or moves your feet around? They're asking questions when they do that. You have back pain, they're asking questions. Is it related to an organ? Is it connected to an injury? Is it something else? Is it emotion? And chiros routinely say that like 70, 80% of people with back, neck, shoulder pain, when they get to emotion, they test positive. But what do? When chiros test positive people for emotion, they use violet lasers. Violet lasers are really good for emotional stress. All right, how many practitioners? Raise your hand if we have any healers, practitioners here. Work with people. Okay, good. So when I work with people, I tell people, many people who get our laser and use our laser around the planet end up working on other people. It's very common once people get the laser that they start working on other people. So first thing I do when I work with someone, and most important thing that I do when I work on someone, is what happens here with me. I don't go through sessions trying to play doctor. I am not a doctor. I don't try to fix people. I don't try to cure people. I don't try to do anything. The only thing I do for me is I stay here in still point. If I'm here in still point, people I work with unwind. They relax and unwind. The first thing I'm going to do is to put the laser over the adrenal glands. I'm going to show you 3 places to work that I do on everyone that I work with. I do these 3 points on every person that I work with. I do it, and many people in our network that use our lasers do these 3 places every single day. I cannot say this enough. If anyone comes to me with issues, they tell me their issues, I barely listen. Not because I don't care about people. I don't listen because it doesn't have anything to do with me. First thing I'm going to do is I put the lasers over the adrenal glands. I'm going to show you where I'm doing it, so if you want to go along and do it. The adrenal glands are halfway up the body on either side of the spine. You can do them in the front or the back. They are key. I cannot say this enough. If you don't have your adrenal glands under, I shouldn't say under control, because that's not really how it works. If you don't have them in a place where they're not running the show, your body is going to seize up. It's going to seize up. It's as simple as that. Now, when I put the laser on, you'll notice I step back 5 or 10 feet. Every person I work with, I do the same thing. I step back 5 or 10 feet, specifically and purposely, because from my perspective, the main thing I work with people is not their body, it's their field. You know, people have no reference for it. People are so focused on the body and how the body looks and is the body in good shape. No one has any sense or cultivation of this state of energy. In other words, there's a direct correlation to the strength, vitality of this field and health. They also found that when people sleep, the field goes out another 5 to 10 feet. When you relax your brain, the field gets stronger. When yogis and Siberian shamans go into healing zone, it goes out even further. Some had really big fields, some of these Siberian shaman folks, yogis, these kind of folks. In my life, most of the things that I do and the lasers I develop, our lasers combine, I didn't mention this yet, our lasers combine a second technology called scalar wave technology. Scalar wave technology is different than the laser. It's what Tesla was involved in. People heard of Nikola Tesla? Well, now everyone's seen the cars, but the Tesla guy, he was really into scalar energy. Why? Because scalar energy is the energy that surrounds things. So our laser has a technology in it. No other laser, every other laser, you use it on knee, on this, you don't feel relaxed. I've used a lot of lasers. No other laser relaxes you as you use it. This laser is unique. Why? Because we've patented an approach to digitally processing the light into scalar waves. Everyone take a breath. Stop right here. Well, guess why I like to live in this state constantly? Guess what happens when your brain waves are relaxed? Energy gets stronger. See if you notice. When I work with people, my goal is that their field opens up and gets more vital and strong. That is my goal. When I laser every day, the many people that use our lasers around the planet, they use laser until they feel their body come back here into this state. Most people, I tell people this, you know, the reason that we're all unwinding and going into still point is because the laser, the waves in our laser, I developed them to bring me and people that use them into this relaxed state of still point. That's why I made it. I didn't make it with my brain. I tried lots of things until I felt the laser go like this and start to put, like I had this experience before I made the laser. And I said when I made the laser to my engineers, I said, look, I want to try a lot of things with light until I come up with the equation, the recipe, the ingredients, that when I use it, my body dissolves and comes back here. Why? Because I like to be here. For me, a good day is when I'm here. Not a good day is when there's a lot of thinking and emotions going on. That's like, geez, I don't know what happened here. You know, every day we have choice. You go out in this planet, you can go out and be like, there's a lot of jerks on this planet. You know, what's going on here with these people? Or you can go out and be like, you're here and you know what, yeah, there's still a lot of stuff. It's a tough place. This is a tough place. You know, this is not easy here, the stuff people go through on this planet. You can go out and say, have a different opinion. You know, yeah, it's rough. We all have rough experiences. We don't need to react to it all. We stay here, and hopefully we help some people out along the way in our journey, just like we've been helped along the way in our journeys. That's the goal of this process for me. The goal is to cultivate and have some more resources and opportunities to be connected to energy, and then to go out and help other people be connected to energy. That to me is what I'm doing here. Now, so what I'm watching here as I'm unwinding the adrenals, her body is showing me that she's unwinding. When I work with people, I am looking for a very specific, and she's doing it right now. I am watching what I call the wave structure. Her body is going through a very specific process. Watch how she's breathing. It kind of goes like this. The breath kind of goes like this, and then it stops a little bit, and then it goes out a little bit more. It's a very specific thing that I watch on every person I work with. And if I don't see it, I usually go, I take the laser and I change to a different program until I see it. Most people, pretty soon they start doing exactly what she's doing. What'll happen, when she first started, her breathing was like this. And I noticed it right away. And so I put the laser on, I stepped back, I looked over, and I saw it go like this. The breath was going like this. It stopped for a moment. And then, in other words, it was going like this, and then the wave started going like this. And I'm going to stop. This session will be done when the wave goes like this and goes in still point. That's when, for me, the person's unwound. Okay, adrenals. I start everyone on adrenals. Your adrenals release adrenaline. It releases adrenaline. Adrenaline comes on if the native person's out there and a jaguar shows up. You know? Then they snip in and they're like, shh. Or a bear is chasing you. Adrenaline kicks in. Well, here's what adrenaline does purposely. It travels around your blood. It shuts down things. Adrenaline purposely overrides things. That's what it does. It makes things tense. Adrenaline. Why? Because the next thing, it's like the switch at the gas station. You know, there's a fire, you hit the switch, it shuts everything down because it's like, this is now an emergency situation. Then the next thing adrenaline does, the siren goes in the gas station. The next thing adrenaline does, it kicks your blood pressure in. So you can fight the thing or run from the thing. That's the adrenaline. That is what adrenaline does, specifically. In so many people that I work with, their systems are in a chronic state of adrenaline. And their cells, I liken having adrenaline on to if you had your car and you brought a big rock and put it on the gas pedal of the car, you know, the engine's going to rev. When adrenaline's on, people rev. They age. They burn out cells. I cannot say enough. Every person I start with, the first thing I do is to unwind the adrenals. Second thing that I do on every person I work with is the tailbone. Second place I work on every person is the sacral tailbone. Hugely important place. I just can't tell you how many people, their bodies, chronic pain, stiffness. If you unwind the sacrum, the spine relaxes. Your sacrum is at the bottom of your spine. Tailbone, sacral area, it moves. Kind of like this, like a pendulum. Anyone comes to me with knee injuries, I never work on knees, I work on the sacrum. The sacrum has big nerves that come out of it that go down the legs. If the sacrum's moving, the nerves pump blood down. And what do? I tell them all unwind the sacrum. A lot of other people, the sacrum goes like this, right? A lot of people's sacrum tilts. Then their spine goes like this. You want to unwind the spine. I don't know why nobody talks about this. You want to unwind the spine. The spine's like a pendulum or a plumb line. Unwind the sacrum. If the sacrum unwinds, the spine plumb lines right back into gravity. The other thing that happens to people, if the spine doesn't go too much like this, if the sacrum tilts, then the hips go like this. And one leg gets longer than the other. You know, they say like less than 2% of people actually have a leg longer than the other. Everyone else has the sacrum that's listed, hips go like this, then they try to put something in there. Don't put something in there, now you're solidifying the problem in place. Unwind the sacrum. Unwind the sacrum. So if the hips go this way, the shoulders go this way, the head goes this way, then the knees have to try to stabilize it and like shock absorbers, and people get knee problems. The solution? Tailbone. You can unwind the tailbone from back here or from up in the front, over the pubic bone. Anyone having chronic stress, a lot of emotions, I tell them, this is your foundation here. If the sacrum's tight, you know, emotional issues, economic issues, relationship issues, not sure you're on the right planet issues. Everyone, in other words, Every day I unwind this sacrum. You ever watch the folks in China in the parks? You know, they're going like this. You want to see the folks that know how to do that? Look, don't look at the moves. Look at this area. If you study Tai Chi and Qigong, the cardinal rule of Qigong, Tai Chi, is they say drop the Dantian. Drop this whole area. The Taoists say that when you drop the sacrum, the spine, the energy flows along the spine. I tell people every day, it's like a hose. Your spine is like a hose. Gravity, energy moves through your spine. If your sacrum's tight, that'd be like taking a hose and clamping it at the... And a ton of people have locked up their sacrum and tailbone. How? Two ways. Two ways people lock up their tailbone often. One, they land on it at some point. A lot of people, they say like 60, 70% of people have landed at some point hard on their tailbone. The other way, shock, trauma. Parent wasn't available, someone was too rough, kids were mean. Well, what happens? The tailbone gets tucked under. Like an animal, the tail gets tucked under. You know, it's a defense mechanism that says, leave me alone. If the tailbone's tucked under and if you don't unwind it, then you go through your life. It's very hard to actualize your life if your tailbone's locked up. I tell everyone I work with, anyone who comes to me for a session, I can work on the knee and the shoulder, but if I don't address these things, the knee will feel better for a couple hours, they'll go home, the adrenals will kick adrenaline in, the tailbone will lock up, and their body's going to shut down again. You can't say enough. 3 key areas. Everyone I work with, you see right now how she's breathing. She's kind of leveling off. I call this cresting. And if you see her breath was going, now it's kind of, she's like this. It's very, can anyone notice? It's kind of breathing very subtle. It's almost in still point. She's almost totally in still point. Not totally yet. We're going to do one more place. But her body is trending right into still point, which is exactly what I look for. When I work with people, I'm watching, and you can see them going like this, and eventually the central nervous system and the energy field just kind of fluff open. It kind of pops out. Many people in our network who use our lasers and our protocols find that they can unwind the different things that are going on a daily basis. I can't say this enough. The reason people buy our laser in particular is because it's empowering. Every day, take something and unwind it and open it and dissolve it and relax it. And our lasers, not inexpensive, though relative to other lasers, our lasers are a total deal. We have competitors that are $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And if you compare what they have versus what we have, you can't even compare it. We have more lasers, more diodes, more power, more wavelengths, more features. Third place I do on every person I work with, occipital ridge. Right back here at the occipital ridge. Right back here is where there's a very important nerve that comes out of the body called the vagus nerve. Vagus means wanderer. It comes out of your cranium and it's like a tree. It just goes all over the place. It governs your breathing. It governs your digestion. It governs your organs. It governs your pulse. It governs your heart, your circulation. It basically governs your entire body. And here's the problem. Here's why this is so important for so many people. What they have found is that when people have a lot of adrenaline, when your body releases adrenaline, the TMJ, the jaw, gets tight. When the jaw gets tight, guess what it does? It's like slamming in the door. The occipital ridge closes. And what happens to the vagus nerve? It gets pinched. So if you're in stress adrenaline, your jaw gets tight. That's why they say when people get stressed, the heart shuts down. The breathing shuts down. Those are all vagal nerve functions in the body. Your organs shut down. I'm telling you, if you want to completely change the condition of your body, get your adrenals unwound, get your sacrum unwound, and unwind the occipital ridge every day. Every day. She's unwinding still. She's unwinding great. She's just kind of keep going along. In fact, I'm going to have her turn over. Okay, I'm just doing the occipital ridge for one more moment here from the face up side. Now, when someone's face up, I'm looking at 2 things now. I'm looking at the breath still. She's still, to me, she's still looking nice in how she's breathing. Second thing I look at when people are face up is the face. And if you notice her face, relaxed, kind of bliss, going into bliss a little bit. There's very clear signs that when someone relaxes, unwinds. And why is that important? Well, when you smile, when your face is smiling in bliss, guess what happens? Neurotransmitters in your brain start to work. When you smile and you're relaxed and at ease, your brain is the most powerful pharmacopoeia on planet Earth. Okay, when I finish up with sessions with people, I usually use the violet probe and watch how her breathing changed. She dropped into still point as soon as I turned this on. I don't know if anyone can see, but she landed in still point right there, which happens with almost every person I work with. Now she's just micro unwinding a little bit, but she's in still point the way I see. Watch how she's breathing right there. Took a nice big breath. All right, she is good and nice and tuned up. Thank you very much. Everyone give her a nice round of applause. I would ask how she's doing, but it's clear how she's doing. This is the subtle stuff. Yogis, when yogis sit there and people visit yogis, they're not, all they're doing is watching the people that come and see, well, it's like a flower. You can tell when the flower, which one opens up, right? It's clear which one's opened up. The petals are there. If you're opening and perceptive to seeing it, well, same thing with the nervous system. It's clear as day when someone's nervous system slows down, relaxes, and dissolves. In the same way, it's clear as day when someone comes and they're thinking, judging, criticizing. Clear as day. Because their nervous system is exhibiting. If you're trained to see that, it's clear as day. What I'm saying is that, and again, my view is if you want to unwind, come and hang out with us. If you don't, that's okay. A lot of people don't want to unwind here on planet Earth. That's fine. We've all been through parts of our journey where we were busy and had to be doing stuff and didn't have so much for this. Well, for me, in my life, I find the more I unwind and come here, geez, I get way more done. Life is way more enjoyable. I'm more effective at the things that I do. Everything works beautifully here. It's a wonderful place. All right, so what I want to do now, I want to show you one very simple thing. And this is the key. If you learn this one simple thing, this is the key to using this laser. I'm going to bake down the recipe to being successful using our laser. And I always tell people, if you can use a remote control, you are overqualified. So here's what I want everyone to do. Take a breath. Stop right here, anywhere there, and just kind of stop here for a moment. Breath will keep going like it does when you sleep, and it understands what to do just fine. Now I'm going to turn the laser onto unwind. And then put it in the hand. I'm just going to put it in the hand for a moment. All I want you to do, you stay, you keep doing what you're doing. All I want you to do as you're doing this is just check in and ask, is this good? Do you feel, you're going to either feel your body relax and unwind, or you're not going to feel that much. For me on unwind right now, I don't feel that much. It feels okay. It's just like when you watch the TV. You go to one channel, if you don't like it. And you go to another one. When you find the one you like, you're like, I like that. It feels good. You put it down, you smile. Same response here in picking a program. So now I'm going to left arrow. That's not the right program for me right now. Definitely not the right one. It was okay. I could have done it. It would have helped. But it's not the one that for me feels really good. Now I just went down one to quantum. And I put quantum on, and as soon as I put quantum on, for me, it feels totally different. In this moment, on this program, for me, it feels really good. Anybody else notice that? Feels kind of nice on that one? Just like TV, you pick, this is a good program for this moment. Okay, now that I found a program that feels kind of good, I want you to pick one area in your body that you've been having some challenges with. Okay? Everyone's having challenges, People say, oh, they don't have any pain, they don't have any injury. I don't buy it. And people get defensive. They're like, no, I don't have any pain. And they'd say, oh, okay, great. Well, do you want to just try laser? It feels really nice. They'd say, okay, great. Then I'd start lasering them and talking to them. 10 minutes later, they start telling me their problems, Their knee doesn't. So now when I do expos, I never say, do you want to work? I just sit there and I say, hey, you want to try laser? Or if I say anything, I say, so find one area and I want you to put the laser, now that we found a program that feels kind of nice, what have we determined? That this program for right now on quantum feels good My body's kind of unwinding. Well, now all I'm going to do is unwind the area that I'm having a little problem in. I'm having a little problem. We went for a long drive. We had a day or two off, which is kind of rare for us. We do a lot where our schedule is very booked when we're on tour. And everyone find an area and just put the quantum one right over. It could be an organ, could be your digestion, could be your memory, could be your immune system, which you can do on the thymus gland if it's your immune system. Could be your face. You know, I tell people, if you don't like the way you look at some area, take the mirror out and laser it. You know? Be empowered. This is about empowerment. To me, anything you're having challenges with, give it light. How do I tell it's unwinding? It feels good. For me right now, I'm holding it here, and I'm like, wow, that feels really nice. So when I have an injury like the shoulder, well, guess what? I'm not some doctor. I don't know where all the different, I used to know all that stuff, where all the attachments and all that stuff happen. I tell people, don't get too scientific here, okay? People give me fancy names. I don't know what they are. I say, well, where is it? Point to the area, you know, where the problem is. What am I doing? The shoulder has been painful all around. So what am I doing? I'm doing it all over. I'm going here, go underneath, go in the back, go along the spine. All right, that is how I unwind things. All right, I'm going to show you one other protocol. This feels so good, I'm having trouble going on to something else. I'm going to show you one other thing that I do on a daily basis. I am going to do one more thing I always do every day when I finish. I just did a good protocol. That was one protocol there. I did my shoulder totally loosed up, feels good. Now I'm going to go over the thymus gland right here. This to me is the most, I just can't say enough how powerful this gland is. Your thymus gland is your heart chakra gland, and it keeps you looking young. I always tell people, if you want to look young, you can work the face. The thymus gland is the key. If you want to age, keep your adrenal glands. You know, most people, if your adrenal glands run the show, if your adrenal glands are always on, your thymus gland is going to shut down. All the other glands shut down when adrenaline's on. So your immune system shuts down, longevity shuts down, pineal, pituitary. You want to have good immune system, longevity, unwind the adrenals, and open your thymus gland every day. Tip of the nose. This is one of my other favorite points. Tip of the nose. I tell you, this point, if I had one place to pick, say I had a person comes to me and they have major issues, one place to pick, I'd do the tip of the nose. So I'm doing tip of the nose. Why am I doing tip of the nose? The tip of the nose is a great point for your thyroid. When you laser this, it goes right into your pineal pituitary glands. I tell you, my real fascination is the glands. I approach everything through the glands, which is what yogis do. The key to yogic experience is glands. Everything else is secondary to me. If someone lives their life in their adrenals, they're going to have stress, thinking, and emotions, and all that stuff. All yogis, shamans, healers, the thymus gland opens. Pineal pituitary, the tip of the nose is a heart chakra. It opens the heart meridian. In acupuncture, it opens the lung meridian. It opens the lymphatic system. The pineal pituitary. Many traditions say the tip of the nose is a little chakra. When it opens, the energy along the spine starts to flow. You ever feel like you're, coming down with something, or you're feeling stress? It's great, and it makes you smile. I can see a bunch of smiling faces behind the lasers. I tell people, you train your nose to be nice and this area to be nice and energized. It's remarkable. It'll help stimulate your metabolism. It looks silly, and people. I do this in public routinely. Really, I'll be at the airport. You kidding me? There's no air on those airplanes. People are coughing right next to you. You're packed in there. I get off the airplane. I'm like, laser. I do my thymus gland. Then I start doing the tip of the nose. I want to, fast as I can, I get my gland snapped back into coherence. I cannot say enough how simple and powerful these 2 points are. They are 2 staple points. I tell people, whether you use lasers or anything else, activate these points on a daily basis. Very, very powerful. When yogis do breathing pranayama, what they're really doing is they're opening up this center right here. They say there's an energy center. They open this. As soon as it does, it kicks in all these glands. Your glands produce things like DMT, dimethyltryptamine. Your glands produce these compounds that make you, you ever heard of DMT? There's a new movie on DMT online. It's called DMT, the spirit molecule. Dimethyltryptamine. Your pineal gland produces it when you sleep, when you're relaxed, when you go into meditation. They say when people have near-death experiences, it kicks in DMT. DMT is also the same thing in ayahuasca. It's the main active ingredient that makes people hallucinate in ayahuasca and many other hallucinogens. Your brain produces it. You sleep, you produce DMT, you wake up, you're ready for another day here on planet Earth. The more adrenaline, stress you have, guess what shuts down? DMT production. More thinking shuts down DMT production.